Okay, so does this sound familiar? Alarm goes off in the morning, you drag yourself up out of bed, already exhausted before the day's even gotten started. That's pretty typical for a lot of us. Now imagine instead jumping up out of bed before the alarm goes off, well rested and ready with lots of energy to embrace the day. Don't know about you, that sounds great to me. So the purpose of this defined life experiment is to take a look at some of the tips that experts recommend and put them to the test, see which ones work. Now, getting better sleep, it's easier said than done. What we did is we started looking at books and across the internet for lists of tips that experts have come up with in order to help us sleep better. What we found is just a mass of confusion, of contradictory tips, and candidly, not a lot of direction. We decided to focus on 9 lists from experts who claim that they had the secrets to improving sleep fast. What we found among those lists were a lot of different suggestions. So there were a total of 66 tips, but among those 66 tips, there were 29 unique tips. Now that's kind of crazy to think about, that amongst these experts, they would come up with 29 different things that they were recommending, even though each list only contained between 6 and 11 items. What we found is that of all of the different tips, only 2 of them made it onto 6 out of the 9 lists. 3 others made it onto 5 out of the 9 lists. All of the rest of the tips were even less frequently mentioned. What was also interesting is that out of the 9 lists, none of them included all 5 of the most common tips. In fact, most of them included 3 or less. So what we decided to do as part of this experiment is to take the 5 most common tips and put those to the test. To expand the list a little bit more, we decided to pick 5 others that we thought were interesting, but didn't make it on as many lists as the top 5. So, you're probably wondering, what were the top 5 most common tips? Number 1 is de-stress ahead of bedtime. Number 2 is set and maintain a regular sleeping schedule. Number 3 is make sure that your bedroom is a comfortable sleeping environment. Number 4, turn off screens. And number 5 is relax. And here are the other 5 that we thought were interesting that we decided we wanted to test. Number 1, get regular exercise. Number 2, avoid food before bedtime. Number 3, avoid caffeine, particularly later in the afternoon or in the evening. Number 4, drink tea or some other hot beverage immediately before going to bed. And number 5 is taking a hot shower 90 minutes before bedtime. Those are the 10 tips that we've decided to test. Now, here's the fun part. Over the next week, we're going to test those different tips and figure out which work for us. What we're focused on here is which of these tips has a noticeable impact in a short amount of time. This isn't intended to be some scientific study. That's just not in the budget, although we're certainly happy to accept donations. But what we're trying to do is just see what makes a difference for us. Depending on what we find over the next week, we may decide that we want to extend the study a little bit and do a phase 2. We'll see. So thanks for tuning in. We're excited to see what we learn and even more excited to share with you the results. Hopefully all of us will find a little bit better sleep. Please subscribe and hit the bell so you'll get notified when we post the results of this defined life experiment. We'll be conducting other experiments and adding tips for living a more defined life. As always, leave us a comment. We'd love to know what you think. Sweet dreams.